What's going on, guys? The Comics Kid 2099 here. Welcome to day 204 of the 365-day graphic novel review challenge. Today, I want to talk to you about another Hellboy-related book. This is Abe Sapien, Volume 2, The Devil Does Not Jest and Others. This is 3 short stories. There is one one-issue story and two-issue stories here, all featuring Abe Sapien in the early 1980s on various missions for the Bureau for Paranormal Defense and Research, or Research and Defense, actually. And these stories all take place just a couple years after the drowning, which was Abe Sapien's first mission, and we still get to see him kind of as a rookie in the Bureau, at least in comparison to Hellboy and Professor Broom, but he's not as much of a nervous wreck as he was in the drowning. In that, we really get to see him act almost like a kid, like he's very nervous around everybody and he's not really sure how he should carry himself. Here, it's just a couple years later and we get to see that he has a lot more authority and he carries himself with more authority in these missions. And that's kind of more like how you would see him act in the story set in the present day. So I feel like you lose a little bit of that characterization that he had in the drowning, but we are still getting characterization for this character in this series, and that's really awesome because, like I said in yesterday's video, characterization was not really Mike Mignola's strong point in the Hellboy books. You can't really tell me a whole lot about Hellboy's character other than he's a little bit snarky. Mostly everything you can tell me about him is visual stuff, and that doesn't mean that he's necessarily a good character. With Abe Sapien, we get to find out quite a bit about his character, especially in the drowning. I would say with this being 3 short stories, there's not as much continuity between these 3 stories, so we don't get to explore his character as much in all of these because we have to get to the story and then get it finished a little sooner than we could in the drowning. With the drowning, it was a 5-issue story, so we could take our time with that story and really explore his character. Here, with 3 short stories, you kind of have to get to the story a little bit faster, so you don't have as much time to get to the character stuff, but I do like to see that we have gotten to see that Abe Sapien has evolved as a character. He's no longer the nervous little kid that he was in the drowning, but we still get that characterization in the back of our minds if you're reading this after you've read the drowning. And we also get to see that he has a little bit more dimension than just being the nervous little kid that he was in the drowning. Like I said earlier, he carries himself with more authority. There's this one miniseries here where he's arguing with this civilian boat captain, and that's a really good tense issue, and it's a good tense scene where we get this other Bureau agent who, as far as I know, is being introduced here, and his name is Salvatore or something. Tasso, that was his name. And he's introduced here as kind of a supporting character for Abe. I really like him. I like that we're getting a supporting character for Abe, because you would think these stories being set in the early 1980s that we would just use Bureau agents as supporting characters. And we do that a little bit. We briefly get to see Liz Sherman. We have Professor Broom, who shows up here, kind of like M in the James Bond stories where he sends James off on a mission. Same thing here with Professor Broom. We get Hellboy in one of these stories, but I like that we get a Bureau agent who is paired off with Abe, and we get to see quite a bit of him. He's introduced here. At first you're thinking, oh, this guy's kind of a jerk, but then I got to like him pretty quickly. I really like the way that he acts. He is not, it's very difficult to explain this character, but at first I was thinking he's kind of being a jerk to this one guy, but then I'm thinking, oh, I kind of like him despite himself. I like him a lot, and I hope that if I can get around to reading some of the other Abe Sapien books, that we can see this character be explored in some of these other books if they continue this trend of setting these stories in the early to mid 1980s. But I like that we got to see Abe Sapien start to develop his own supporting cast, even if it's just one character. I like that. I think that was a very smart move. Overall, I would say, as far as characterization goes, I praise The Drowning quite a bit for being such a strong character piece. As far as that goes, this story is a little bit weaker, but I really liked getting to see some short variety in this story here. I don't think we've ever had a one-issue story in any of the Hellboy books that I've read. Usually it's a miniseries that's like 5 issues long, or it's a 2-issue miniseries like what we got here in a couple of these stories. This is the first time that I'm aware of where we had a 1-issue story, and that's very difficult. I know that it's not easy to tell a complete story that is satisfying also in just 1 issue. So very much kudos to the creative team that was involved with that issue. I guess I should have mentioned the creative team in this book. There's a whole lot of people who was involved in this one, but I like this book quite a bit. Not quite as good as The Drowning, but still a very thoroughly enjoyable ride. So those are my thoughts on on The Devil Does Not Jest and others. I hope that you guys like this video. Remember, this is going to be my last Hellboy video for a little while. I did order some more Hellboy books, and those are on their way. So whenever I get all those in the mail, you will be seeing another roughly a week of Hellboy stories in the near future, just a couple weeks, hopefully. So keep that in mind if you've been enjoying these Hellboy-related videos. But for now, this is the last of the Hellboy-related videos that I will be doing. So tomorrow, I will be doing something that's not entirely divorced from Hellboy, but is very different and isn't Hellboy connected. So I hope that that was a vague enough clue. You guys will see what that's all about tomorrow. In the meantime, I hope that you guys have a great rest of the day, and I will see you tomorrow. Have a good one.